World by DJ Shadow. I guess that's kind of apropos to play today because look at my eye, like this all crooked. You know, I broke my nose, so my glasses, you know, kind of set funny on my face. They're never symmetrical. Plus I have the hat on, which makes it bump up back here. But I'm wearing the hat for Charles from Project Camelot. So yeah, this is my French hat. My little beret. Maybe I should get like another color. So let me see. There's some stuff going. Hi, Karen Ann McDonald. Nice to see you. Good luck. Very, very Parisian. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes. I've always loved berets. You know, ever since I was in high school. I'm kind of bouncing here because I just sort of have this on my pillows. I'm getting lazy the last few days. I'm like, oh, I just want to sit in my bed and do it. Mainly because I am in college now, and I finally had a minute. So sometimes I just feel like, oh, okay, so I'll do a live stream. If you'd like to support my college fund, I do have a little ticker tape going on right now. I do take one-time donations at hollywoodhemptress@gmail.com. And then there's my Venmo on the screen as well. So please do support me there. I will be uploading this video most likely to my Spotify in a video form and in an audio form after I live stream it here. So it'll have another replay there. All right. So I'm going to start out today with showing some stuff about James Rink really quick. And this is in response to a live stream that I did about a month, maybe 6 weeks ago, about a documentary that Oki did. He has a channel here on YouTube as well. It's in that other video, but he did a documentary titled How I Infiltrated a Bizarre Conspiracy Cult. And the video that I'm going to play right now is actually, I have to look at it again to see whose channel it is, but it's one of the guys that James Rink has featured in his Super Soldier Forum or Super Soldier Talk YouTube channel. And they are debunking the Oki who did the documentary, and I wanted to share that footage with you. Oh, that was a good one. Yeah. Okay. So you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna get into some stuff here. Yeah. It's very entertaining, and so I'm just gonna leave it open to that. All right. So let me share the screen here. All right. And I just want to make sure that I have it. I'll probably take it off again.
Yeah. So,
okay. So, okay, it's right here. Hold on. Let me just. Okay. Oh wait! Stop! All right. So, I'm gonna try to be fairly objective, like a journalist is supposed to be, like not too harsh, right? Not too, but you know what? I am a comedian, and so I have to be true to that, right? All right, so let us go. All right, here we go.
Hello. Yeah, so James Rink here. I just want to comment briefly about the Oki stuff. So the information that I have about him is that there is a gargoyle attached to his throat chakra. He was remote viewing him. He appears as a 6-year-old boy when he was
he acts like one too, but
okay. I mean, and let's just stop at the just one moment about the gargoyle at the throat chakra. I mean, that's the most shocking information, right? It's like, whoa, like I've never heard of that before, a gargoyle at the throat chakra. But don't you think it's kind of interesting that that's where he started out? Okay. Also, I wanted to say that this is Thomas Corvitas, and you know what? just make sure that I put my banner on here just to be protected. This is fair use, and this is a transformative work. We are educating the public and critiquing the video we are sharing. This is covered under fair use and is allowable by law. All right, so let's go back to the gargoyle in the throat chakra, right? Let's go back to here.
Hold on, let me fix this. So he was abused really badly by his parents, and he's basically
okay. So this is like I'm assuming like this is he's remote viewing him, right? So, right? Am I correct about this? He's remote viewing him, who Oki really is, and he's determined that there is a gargoyle in his throat chakra. Also, what I find interesting is that the other guy, it's his channel, doesn't introduce him. So it's just like, okay, James, you just go ahead and take it away on my channel. So here we go.
Okay.
Again.
hello. Yeah, so James Rink here. I just want to comment briefly about the Oki stuff. So
The Oki stuff.
the information that I have about him is that there is a gargoyle attached to his throat chakra. He was remote viewing him. He appears as a 6-year-old boy when he was.
He acts like one too, but.
Hold on, let me fix this. So he was a.
And it's kind of interesting that he interjects with that, like he acts like one too, like as if it's documentary. And again, it's Oki's point of view. It's you know, he follows a very standard documentary style when he did do it. Like he goes in, he studies it, he talks about them, he sets up all the characters. You know, he talks about how the Super Soldier program came about, the kind of mythology that all the people seem to talk about. He brought up Corey Good. He brought up Captain. What's not Mark Richards is in there. Captain Mark Richards, James Casbolt, also Captain Randy Kramer. All of the characters that have been introduced to us through also Carrie Cassidy and Gaia TV. So really, does that make him be like, because he did that, because he investigated it, because he did he played the devil's advocate in a world, that he is, you know, a 6-year-old for doing that? I mean, okay, anyways, I'll move on.
Was abused really badly by his parents, and he's basically a psychopath now. His parents never paid him any attention, and he feels like
attention whore.
And he feels like doing these type of videos. Basically, he likes to do it because people love his work, and he feels love from him that his parents never loved him. But when he was 6 years old, a gargoyle attached to him, and it's attached to his throat chakra. And so in order to have demonic attachments, you have to have very low consciousness to begin with. He still thinks his gargoyle is his best friend.
Well, I'm going to step it one more time, and then I'm going to shut up. Is he reading something? Like, did he write this down? And now he's repeating it, like as if like it's notes. And he went, you know, okay, right? Watch. I'm just noticing the style, how he's doing it.
So it's the reason why he's so popular, because it's this gargoyle is creates optical illusions and holograms around a person, changing their visual perception. So that way, when he's around other people, it can change his energetic appearance. So that's why he was able to deceive me. But he is part of a group of YouTubers who get paid to do this. I don't get paid to do what I do. I do it because I want to document this very important time.
Okay, but he does get paid what to do, because in the documentary, he takes $200 of cancellation for fees. So he is making money from this. I disagree with that. And I don't think James Rink really has proof that Oki's getting paid for this. Like, he's just saying it. So he's making some sort of argument that, you know, what he is doing is altruistic, and therefore, you know, and, you know, Oki has a gargoyle attached to his throat, which, you know, is probably running his consciousness.
Humanity's history. But yes, so what's that?
He's basically a shill, and maybe James, what we should do is try to follow his money trail and find out.
Shield, right? So how do they know that? That term gets thrown around way too much in this community. He's probably a shield because you disagree with me and what I'm doing, and you're questioning it or debunking the debunker, then you obviously must be a shill.
To spread its kind of
well, it's looked into. I don't think there's. I think he's just a lone ranger, and he's just lonely and bored in the world, and he latched on to me because I try to be as neutral as possible.
Now he's lonely and bored in the world and latched on to him, and that's what happened, right? You know, he just got latched on, and okay, so here's another narrative to explain what happened about to explain the documentary.
An opportunity, and I guess he thought he could just take advantage of that, but he did get caught. And also, I'm going to mention one other thing too. And then,
he got caught by who? Like, how did he get caught, James?
We can probably go ahead and just move on. He's going to have really bad karma for all this. So doing this stunt is basically set back his personal growth, and he's going to have, it's going to come back to him. But you know, for somebody low conscious like him, I don't really think he believes in karma anyway. But
so he's low consciousness. He has a gargoyle attached to his throat, and he's going to have really bad karma for doing the documentary.
Not only did he insult you, James, he insulted the entire SSP community. Now, you and me, we're pretty restrained, but there's some pretty unhinged people that would have no qualms telepathically attacking this dude. You know that.
So he insulted the entire community because every single one of them that have gone on James Rink's show is really a super soldier. Every person that he's interviewed is an absolute super soldier. Some of them are, you know, unhinged, unlike them, that might psychically come after him. So now, because he's insulted them by doing this documentary, he's, I guess, quote unquote, in danger.
I mean, if he's got a demonic attachment, it's not necessarily him that's doing all this.
It's the gargoyle. It's the gargoyles is responsible for him doing the documentary where he infiltrated them and did a complete story, and James Rink had no discernment about it. That's the whole point of the documentary, James, right? It's like he actually infiltrated, lied, and you still wanted to put him on stage. That's the main point here. Either way, you need to take responsibility for messing up and realizing that you actually, were willing to showcase or offer a showcase to someone who was never really was never really a super soldier. You actually said, come to this convention. Let me put you on camera. I want to interview you. I want to put you part of my super soldier talk forum. And he duped you. All right. How psychic are you? Like, how much of a remote viewer are you if you couldn't tell that he had a gargoyle attached to his throat in the first place?
Meantime,
you know that, and I know that, but you understand, like, there's certain people in our community who don't care and, would have no problems ripping this guy's mind apart.
We have so many communities right now. Like, CW Chanter goes, this community is his community, or the community he referenced the same community that's over here. I mean, I know we're all interrelated somehow in some ways. Like this super soldier community is connected to the UFO community. It's almost like SSP. Now it has an acronym. Is a derivative of the UFO media.
And like I said, he effectively pissed off like probably several thousands. So
we are now at several thousands of super soldiers that are out there that are pissed off at this documentary filmmaker.
Yeah, people in our
There's also, if you also go on the video, there's a lot of comments. There's a comment here from a Stone Viking. He's basically stating that that he's thinking about creating a fun, deep role play. He wants to set up infiltrate a group that believes in magic and claim to be a fallen angel, and thinks he can infiltrate and create a full-blown cult. So he's working with a bunch of people that are they're trying to repeat this to other organizations and groups, disclosure groups, and we're trying to wake humanity up, let them know that you've been lied to, and those people are a bunch of NPCs.
Is that the objective of the Super Soldier program right at this point? Like, I mean, maybe that's James Rink's objective, but do you think that that's what everybody that came forward and was doing what they were doing, is that they are this great these humanitarians that are now for the benefit of humanity? That they are, they've got these special psychic and healing abilities now, and they're like I know someone who thinks that he is practically Jesus Christ, in terms of his DNA, and I dated that guy, so ooh, okay, so you know what I mean? Okay, anyway,
people that are just Matrix. That's all that, I mean, as part of the Matrix, Oki admitted to me that he got vaccinated. So,
no,
all right, again, you realize what he said, right? And again, I've got my own feelings about this, all right? But realize that he is using it as a derogative against his credibility by saying, I heard. Did you hear that? I want to play it again one more time, because it's both sides are doing it, right? Or both sides of the thought. Some people want to say it's left wing, right wing, but the left thinks one thing if you haven't, and the right thinks one thing if you have. So, and then even if you haven't, if they don't like what you have to say, they go, well, you're probably that, right? Which I think that's an interesting little gameplay that people use to pump their own credibility up. That is like the ultimate ad hominem. That's like, if you don't have an argument, a real concrete argument against somebody, then what you're going to do is you're going to say that they're emotionally a 6-year-old, and or they went ahead and got the. So let's go ahead and go back. I want to do that one more time.
Humanity up, let them know that you've been lied to, and those people are a bunch of NPCs, non-player character,
NPCs,
low vibration people.
Interesting
that
term.
Are just Matrix. That's all that, I mean, as part of the Matrix, Oki admitted to me that he got vaccinated. So he's going to most likely.
So James, when did he admit that to you? Did he admit it to you like when he did the interview in Vegas, or did he admit it to you after you saw the documentary and he went, oh, by the way, I happen to be not, that I happen to be blank? I mean, when did he give you that information? What made him feel comfortable to give you his, medical status when you were talking? And how would have that had anything to do with him talking about being a super soldier? Is James even just saying that because he is using that as getting an upper hand and to like make himself look more credible?
Be gone soon.
Well, Oki, dude, I wouldn't wish this upon my worst enemy, but you're about to suffer a horrible, painful, lingering death because you decided to take the jab.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it at that, and you can do whatever you want to with this footage, but yeah, go ahead and stop record. Thanks, Thomas. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to stop it right there. I mean, that's really all you need to see. I'm going to go ahead and put his link in the channel, because if you want to subscribe, I mean, I'm not meaning to harm anybody's channel or anything like that. So if you want to subscribe to this guy's channel, if you want to look at the whole show yourself, it is Thomas Corvadia. I might have said his name wrong, so if I did, I apologize. I'm pretty sure it's probably not the most insulting thing I'm going to do about that video anywhere. Okay. So I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts about that? I'm going to just kind of leave that there. It's kind of, I don't see anything in the chat right now, which is like alarming that, I guess like it was, what did you make of that? I find it to be entertaining and an interesting, response, to the documentary. I think it's perfectly okay, and it needs to be done. We need to question what is real and what is not real. I'm by no means am I saying that I know whether or not extraterrestrials are real or not. It is a topic that I delve into. Personally, for me, I'm not really sure. But I do think it's something worth exploring. Who are the super soldiers? What really are we seeing here? What part of it is true? I still don't know either. But it's worth looking at, right? I have to say, I have my people that I think that came out of the super soldier era, the people that I think are closest to being credible, or were the most interesting people to look at in terms of the scene. I would go, and again, I'm not saying they're credible or not credible, but I think the ones that first came out on the scene, where they came from, we don't really know. But I think that if you're going to go into people that were treated as if maybe they were credible, like a CIA augmented, admin, which is what Duncan O'Finian called himself, right? He preferred to call himself that. I remember when I interviewed him, he was like, I'm a CIA augmented admin. He actually did an appearance on Jesse Ventura's conspiracy theory. He did. So it's interesting that Duncan O'Finian kind of went in, got a little bit of a mainstream exposure at the time that he came out on that scene, right? And then you have James Casbolt, right, who married an heiress and had that whole situation happen, and the things that he said. Then we have Max Spears that came out, and again, okay. My thought is that I do think that assassins are possible, right? Obviously, and that some of them are maybe MK Ultra mind control. Not really, doesn't. I do think that maybe Saran, who shot Robert Kennedy, was possibly, under MK Ultra mind control, or some of those types of assassinations might have involved people who were under MK Ultra mind control. I think that's definitely a possibility. I think that, we know that there was, like I said, a sect of the military that we've seen in film, like the Men Who Stare at Goats, the documentary about the Men Who Stare at Goats, that he was able to stop a goat's heart by his mind. So I think that there are things that we can do with our mind, or that, psychic abilities have been used by the military. But to what extent, really, do we know? Does it encompass James Rink? I think of James Rink, and this is my opinion. And we are all worth having one, right? But I think that he just puts anybody up, and then it doesn't matter if they're telling the truth or not, or if this is if it's real or not. He came out on the scene with everybody else and claimed to be a super soldier. But think about it. Where is it that any of these people, when they say that they did something, really all it is their testimony of them saying it? Even if you're coming out and you're talking about racist and this and that and blah, 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 and this is my research, just because you have research doesn't mean that it's actually the truth. Like I watched this video recently. It was Al Jazeera, or I might be saying it wrong, Al Jazeera English. He did just recently. There was an actor that I guess popular. I don't know who he was, but he was doing one of the shows, and it was like, do aliens really exist? Do aliens exist? And there's a lot of different, like with ancient aliens and the artifacts and the drawings in the past, and people have gone over artifacts like archaeologists and tried, where did the pyramids come from? Where did all these things? What happened? What is the origins and the history of mankind? And have we had extraterrestrial contact? Do they even exist among us right now? And I know that I'm talking to you guys who are like really savvy about this conversation, but let's face it. It's not like, you could talk about Charles Darwin, and Charles Darwin is the closest thing to a scientific theory about the evolution of mankind, if you're going to use it from a scientific point of view. Right? And there's certain things that you have to do to make something a theory. You have an idea of it being a possibility, then you do a hypothesis and you see if your hypothesis come out, and then if it does or doesn't or whatever, and then once it finally comes out repeatedly or whatever, it's a theory. But a theory can always change. A lot of things that are part of our reality are kind of, it's subject to change with new information. All right. So do the people, because I'm thinking, like, what am I doing on my channel? And I'm trying to think, what direction do I really want to go in? And I have different ideas, and I am in this particular media. I feel that I'm doing media reflection on the media. Like it's an analysis of the media that this is, and the authenticity of the things that people say in this media. And, maybe for some people that doesn't make you very popular. At one point I was interviewing a lot of these people, and I was, believing what they were saying. But at some point, and again, I love how when you question, when you actually do the thing that it is to be human, and using your logic and trying not to be, people go, well, you're red-pilled, but you're red-pilled into another theology. You're red-pilled into another belief system. Like the whole thing. And again, red-pilled is part of a Hollywood movie. And then again, this community sits back and goes, oh, well, we hate Hollywood. Those are Luciferians and blah, 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 blah. And they believe in, magic and this and that. But then on the backhand of themselves, they're talking about doing magic. So there's this kind of like a cognitive dissonance in this community. And I would even go to say like a real hypocrisy in this particular media. And it's not doing its due diligence, not to like coin somebody who makes sock puppet accounts, because we know who that is, but they don't do their due diligence in actually really supporting their evidence and coming to the conclusion that that is in fact a real truth. I mean, even like, let's talk about, I'm going to read some of your stuff here. Let's talk about, what was I going to say? Oh, darn it. I lost my mind. I lost my mind. Okay, I lost my train of thought. Okay, let me just Jeff Reed, I'm headed to Mars right after this podcast. They have had another gargoyle reprising. Okay. Me neither. He was never there, Jeff. I think he is a fraud because I've never seen him on Mars. Like he claims he was there many times. From Project Camelot, his reply was vague. By the way, I've never seen him on Mars. He was trying to sell a film script. I think he got busted for ripping off Universal Soldier. Oh. Yeah, you know what? I have to look at that. You're talking about Duncan O'Finian. He was there to sell a script. I'm losing my light. It's colder here today, and the sun isn't as out. All right, so I want to move on. Because I put James Rink up in the front. I want to talk a little bit about Hugh Heffner. And he also has a documentary that came out. Although, you know, he's not alive to say that the documentary filmmaker had a gargoyle attached to his neck for exposing what may have really went on at the Playboy mansion. But I wanted to show it because I thought it was really interesting, and this article and what the documentary is about as well. Nate Gray says Duncan is the real deal. He has X-ray of his chips. I just left them a couple of comments on that video. Oh, okay. All right, so I'm gonna do a share screen on an article that actually is on Yahoo. But hey, you know what? If they can like do a whole Russia Gate by something that happened on Yahoo, I guess this would be okay too, right? All right, so. But it's a good one, and it's definitely interesting. All right, so it said Hugh Heffner's ex calls him a monster. Can you guys hear me okay? I just want to make sure that you can hear me okay. I'm just going to make sure that I did that right. All right. Okay. Hugh Heffner's ex calls him a monster as she recalls traumatic relationship. And this is written by Taryn Ryder. Monday's episode of Secrets of Playboy featured many disturbing claims about Hugh Heffner and the depravity that went on at a Playboy mansion. Hefner's ex-girlfriend, Sandra Theodore, emotionally opened up about her 5-year relationship with Playboy founder, declaring him a monster. The things he got turned on by, nothing was enough. Nothing, the former Playboy playmate revealed. Theodore, who dated Hefner from 1976 to 1981, said their relationship was like a fairy tale at first. We were so in love, she admitted, but her story is similar to those of Hefner's other girlfriends who claim they were groomed and isolated. He cut me off from the world, Theodore recalled. The model's relationship with Hugh Heffner coincided with when he decided to date multiple women at the same time and live the life that Playboy magazine represented. Their Theodore had to recruit young women for group sex with Hefner. I can believe that too, because I've witnessed that people like this will, and if you are dating someone like that, they will end up like, because they want to please the person that, you know, they think that you think you're in love with, that you will go out and recruit women to, you know, to bring back to them. I was told it was a party. It was getting together to have some fun, she tearfully said. That was my way of pretending I really wasn't doing it. Theodore, who previously claimed she was Hefner's drug mule, admitting to doing cocaine in order to go along with her boyfriend, with what her boyfriend wanted her to do. Perhaps one of the most startling moments of the night came when Theodore alleged she walked into a room only to find Hefner fondling their dog. He said, "Dogs have needs," she recalled. "I never left him alone with the dog again. I could not believe what I was seeing." Former Bunny mother P.J. Maston shared a horrific story allegedly involving porn star Linda Lovelace. Maston said the Deep Throat star was drunk and drugged one night at the Playboy mansion and performed a sexual act with a German Shepherd dog. And you know what? That's a thing. I mean, you guys probably already know that. Maybe you don't, but there's some dating sites that have like, or sex sites or whatever, we can hook up with people. They'll put down like if they put down canine or something like that in their description, then that means that that's also what they're into. Theodore corroborated the disturbing tale, claiming Hefner admitted it happened, telling her, "We all watched." Theodore alleged that later in their relationship, Hefner brought men into the bedroom and directed her to have sex with them against her will. "I felt so violated having a man that I did not want to be with forced up on me," she recalled. Her breaking point ultimately came when Hefner allegedly brought up snuff films, which is a video that purportedly shows actual homicide. Now this is the part that I really wanted to get to for you guys is, that there's all this stuff going on about, Hunter S. Thompson and the Franklin cover-up and stuff like that. And, this kind of like, oh yeah, that doesn't happen. But to really realize that this image that Playboy had, this branding that they brought in the 50s, and this sexual revolution that really generated here in the United States and then like went everywhere because, Playboy went everywhere, right? But this sexual revolution and freedom and this Playboy lifestyle. By the way, I'm thinking a lot of things at once right now because I was just in my anthropology class this morning and we were getting into primates, and I believe that it's the bobo or the bobo apes or the bobo. They are actually, they are all about friends with benefits, like as a and I just thought that was kind of funny, like the bobo or the bobo. But see, now I got to get better on this. I have to go back. Are they monkeys or are they apes? I have to like read my text. But I know that there's all right. So there's this, but we're not apes, right? But basically we're within that species. We have a common ancestor. I know people like, oh no, I'm Pleiadian and I'm Draconian. I've got reptilian blood. Okay, maybe you do. Maybe you are. Maybe you're Nephilim. Maybe you were a giant in a past life. I don't know. It's not for me to decide. I know I'm rambling, but I just thought it was, like now this is coming out after he's passed away. Now we're looking back and going, oh, well, what was really associated to Hugh Heffner? One of the things I want to bring up too is like, Hugh Heffner did, he had that swinging party show that would have Lenny Bruce on it. And I mean, all the women around him. And in the acting world, it used to be that if you did something topless or you did a nude pictorial, it was like, oh, this is really offensive. Like that's pornography. But then all of a sudden it became like, this is a thing you do. Like there's nothing wrong with, turning 18 and doing a Playboy spread either later on in your career, because it became a thing where even actresses that would have before not associated with themselves with Playboy ended up being in Playboy. Now, another thing I want to bring up that I noticed here in the dialogue, it talked about how, like she said, he made me have sex with men and I really didn't want to. And there was in my persuasion class, we've been looking at advertising, and there were sexual images of, a model with men around her and petting her down and looking like, she was going to do all of them. And some of it looked like she didn't enjoy it, or it was really almost demeaning and kind of objectified women. And yet it was part of a high-end advertisement for fashion. And this, and I also want to point out that she showed another picture of, it was like for watches and really rich stuff, but they had like an 8 or a 10-year-old dressed really like a grown woman, setting provocative. And this is what they're using young girls at that age to be depicted that way. And one of the things that I like to point out is what they did, how Hugh Heffner depicted Brooke Shields. Because when I read this and I think about like what kind of influence did Hugh Heffner have on society and also on our human sexuality, and as well as how women were objectified and depicted. And one of the things that I want to bring up is Brooke Shields, because I remember Brooke Shields. I'm gonna kind of, because I'm gonna talk a little bit about this. Gonna widen the screen a little bit. I grew up. Like Brooke Shields was. I'm like maybe a couple years older than Brooke Shields, or maybe 1 year older. But it's like we're kind of like still the same era. And she came about like right around the same, a tween or whatever you want to call it. And the sexualization that they did to Brooke Shields, because she was in a movie called Pretty Baby, where she played a child prostitute. And I remember it's got Susan Sarandon in it, and it's got a pretty major director too. I'd have to go back and look at the director, but I even remember seeing the film as a little later on, maybe even as a teenager. And I know that probably doesn't sound good. My mom didn't really have much discernment in what films I saw as a child. And she's even made comments on that. Like, I don't know if I should have done that, because like movies were more, I don't want to sound like really old, but there was the drive-in theater and this and that. I think just people were naive as to how they were being exposed and how that exposure was affecting our culture. And so Hugh Heffner took pictures of Brooke Shields that were really could be considered pornography, where she was dressed in lingerie or was topless or whatever, where she was put into provocative poses and looks and shown in a magazine. I think the magazine was called Spice. It was like a spin-off on Playboy. And there was a famous commercial that, you can see it. You can Google this. This is common knowledge. And many of you probably remember it, but I remember it, where there's a 15-year-old Brooke Shields wearing a pair of Calvin Kleins, right? And she goes, "Nothing gets between me and my Calvin Kleins." or maybe it's Jordache, or I think it's Calvin Klein. And so the sexualization of a 15-year-old was really prevalent at that time, and this is the 70s, and it hasn't changed. And then let's take it to Jean Brunel, right? Who just apparently probably didn't kill himself either. Jean. Let's see, Jean. Let me look this up really quick. He was associated. Jean-Luc Brunel. He had the modeling agency. Matter of fact, I'm going to share the screen on this too. He had the modeling agency that and an association to the man who didn't kill himself, right? The first man who didn't kill himself, Jeffrey Epstein. And he's in terms of America, I think he's not, like, unless you're following this really closely, you may not have known, but he ended up dead in a prison, and he had Kareem Models and founded MC2 Model Management, and that MC2 links to Rachel Chandler, if you know any of this. See, French modeling agent Jean-Luc Brunel found dead in prison. You know what? Let me just read this a little bit too, because I want to cover it. Kind of off on a tangent here a little bit, but it all kind of connects when you think about what's happened to models. I can't seem to adjust my thing here. Oh, well, I'll let myself be down on the bottom like that. That's not a problem. French model agent Jean-Luc Brunel found dead in prison cell. French modeling agent Jean-Luc Brunel, longtime associate of disgraced financial Jeffrey Epstein, has been found dead in his prison cell, a spokesperson for the Paris prosecutor's office said. Jean Brunel has never stopped claiming his innocence. He has multiplied his efforts to prove it. A judge had released him a few months ago, and then he was reincarcerated in undignified conditions. Accused of rape by several former top models, which he denied, the 75-year-old was put under formal investigation in France in late 2021 for the rape of a minor over 15. So I just wanted to kind of like briefly hit that. All right. Because I think it kind of interrelates to what's going on with Hugh Heffner. Now, one more thing I want to say about Hugh Heffner too is think about like the mansion, the Playboy mansion has always been a big place for celebrities to hang out with. And who was there but Bill Cosby? And you know what he's been convicted of. And I guess he's released now, but we know like the rumors of that. And so when you realize that Hugh Heffner might have been associated to snuff movies, or according to this testimony, then you go, oh, like what have these people been into? That's my point here. It just, there's a lot of things coming out right now, which I kind of. So I want to finish this up here, and then there's something else I want to show you. All right, so she says, I felt so violated having a man that I did not want to be with forced upon me. All right, that's when she's talking about the thing, luxury life. Okay, here we go. What kind of mind is so far gone that he takes killing somebody to get them excited, but for that big a release? He was opening my eyes to hit this monster. Really, he was a monster, Theodore declared. Although she got the courage to leave, she said she's affected daily by what transpired during her time at the Playboy Mansion. I lived a luxury life, yeah, but I paid dearly for it, she stated. I will never know how to be a normal person. Secrets of a Playboy director, Alexandra Dean, told Yahoo Entertainment that Theodore was the hardest person to get to participate in the documentary, calling her the main voice of the series. The thing that shocked me the most is the depth of her scarring around what happened with Hef, Dean said. It was so profound, and that is what convinced me more than anything else that this was a much darker story than I had initially started to make. Just looking at Sandra, listening to Sandra, you could hear all those traces of trauma. Dean, who spoke to former Playmates, Hefner's ex-girlfriends, and Mansion staff members, believes the height of his darkness was when he dated Theodore. I think it was the height of his drug use as well, she explained. I think it unleashed things, or at least it eradicated certain boundaries he might have had otherwise. The real Hef came roaring out. It's dark. Dean added, when we think about the mansion, it's kind of like Vegas. We think it's fun and cute, that anything that happens in the mansion stays in the mansion. But when you look at what you're really talking about, it's this voracious sex addict who had been experimenting and pushing the boundaries of experimentation. There's nothing fun and cute about it. It's brutal, it's terrifying, and there's more than a little bit misogyny embedded in there. Playboy issued a statement ahead of the A&A series premiere last month. The Hefner family is no longer associated with Playboy, which I thought that this is interesting. And today's Playboy is not Hugh Heffner's Playboy. We trust and validate these women and their stories, and we strongly support those individuals who have come forward to share their experiences, a spokesperson told Yahoo. As a brand with sex positivity at its core, we believe safety, security, and accountability are paramount. The most important thing we can do right now is actively listen and learn from their experiences. As an organization with more than 80% female workforce, that's kind of interesting. It has an 80% female workforce. We are committed to confronting any parts of our legacy and that do not reflect our values today, and continuing the progress we have come to evolve as a company so we can drive positive change for our employees and our communities. And then it leaves a sexual assault hotline, which is help at 800-656-HOPE 463 and online.rainn.org. So that Feldman went for the money. You know what? I think he might have. Corey Feldman used to recruit young teenagers and bring them to the mansion. Did he now? You know, I saw Corey Feldman like years ago, like when he was still, maybe he was 14 and he looked like he was 12. You know, I mean, I think it was before Lost Boys. And I was at a party. It was Sam Canis's birthday party at a studio, like a music studio in Burbank. And it was like after midnight, and there he was hanging around. So he didn't have a whole lot of supervision when he was young. He was at that party. And I don't think he should have been. Right? I mean, it was like a school night, maybe even. I don't know. I can't remember. I was about 25 at the time. So it was okay for me to be at that party. You know, I was, you know, so, but I've been watching Corey Feldman. I'm bringing up Corey Feldman. All right. I've been watching Corey Feldman on, Steve O, I think, from that, you know, they did all those crazy antics and stuff like that. And he's been interviewing him. And Corey Feldman talks about his live stream that failed, and then how this other company took his, like, hacked him and then took his live stream and then ran it over on their channel and made like $50,000 or $50 million. I don't know. It was he quoted a really high number, and then they argued that it wasn't the number. And he goes, well, everybody who was there in the industry that saw it on my end just thought it was great. But he says, oh, it's ruined now because I didn't make any money off of it. So now he can't release it. Like, did he not think about maybe like just pressing some DVDs out of his damn computer and selling them for like $5 in the mail or something like that? I mean, even if he, I mean, and like, does he not have StreamYard now? I mean, like, why can't he, if he really cared about the information, why can't he just get it out there? Like, he's got enough money if he really wants to get the information, but now he's like crying sour grapes because he didn't make any money off of it. So he's just yanking our chain, basically. Like, I think he's just a gatekeeper media person about this. He also needs $10 million to keep his family safe. Well, that's maybe what he says. Nate says you saw the documentary on YouTube, but they took it off. Yeah, you know, maybe you saw it. You're lucky. I mean, maybe they, maybe that was the company that ripped him off. I don't know. I mean, I can see why YouTube maybe would take it off. Who knows? Okay, so I wanted to share that Hugh Heffner story with you, and then just talk about, you know, just in retrospect. I'd like to see that documentary, so I'm gonna look for it because that one interests me. You know, and maybe you know, who knows though? Maybe he had a gargoyle attached to his throat. Okay, I'm not gonna let that go, right? I have a throg in my excuse me, I have a gargoyle attached to my throat. It's not a frog in my throat, it's a gargoyle in my throat. Okay, now there is another thing that I want to while I was looking at stuff, there's a guy, he has a channel, and I want to show a little bit of it. Just because I have it in the title too. It's the adult film Walk of Fame. And I didn't know, like he shows a place on Santa Monica Boulevard that they used to have the old Pussycat Theater. And again, in relation to, like, let's say Playboy, in relation to, say, like Hustler and all these different magazines, there's a whole film industry that sprouted up in the 70s. And there's certain movies that were made, like Behind the Green Door and The Devil and Mrs. Jones, that actually went to the suburban housewife, and they would see them at the theater. It's kind of like how Boogie Nights is, if you've seen that movie about, you know, the director Jack Horner wanting to make a film, and then they had the Brock Lander series. You know, like there were films that had a psychological plot line. For example, The Devil and Mrs. Jones, and it talks about the Devil and Mrs. Jones crowd. Well, this is the theater that Marilyn Chambers, you know, they act like the Grumman Theater. They put their hands in the you know, sidewalk. You know, John Holmes' handprints are there, and now it's a gay porn, basically a gay porn theater on Santa Monica Boulevard. But it started out a classic, legitimate theater, and then it moved to doing the Pussycat Theater, and then it went into being this, you know, more of a gay porn theater. But John Holmes is relevant to bring up because he connects to the Wonderland murders that took place up in the canyon, and is part of that, you know, Laurel Canyon narrative. And there was a movie that came out called, you know, about the Wonderland murders. And I believe Val Kilmer played John Holmes in it. Okay, so you're still talking about you still want Corey Feldman. I wanted before I show this video. All he has he steals. He has no work either. There's a YouTube channel run by a young woman that exposes Feldman. They actually worked for him. Well, I'd like to see that channel. This isn't where the Hefner had a gargoyle attached. Interesting, Jeff. So Feldman was always a fraud. I don't, you know what? Honestly, I don't think here's the thing. I don't think Feldman's a fraud. I don't think Feldman's making it up. It was known for a really long, like, okay, Corey Feldman's mother was an agent, I believe, just like Todd Bridges' father was an agent. Matter of fact, Todd Bridges' father was my agent, very briefly. And he was talking about maybe sending me to Japan to model at that time because according to him, they took shorter people because I am only 5'4", and their population is shorter. So I would have been okay to go over and do like runway modeling. But I found out later on that was actually human trafficking. My boyfriend at the time told me, do not go because you may not even come back. And at the time, it was like I had never even heard of anything like that before. But I do remember being told not to do it. He also sent me to Hustler magazine because I might be able to work over there as well. And I said, well, you know, aren't they naked in those photos? And he goes, oh, yeah, some of them are in bathing suits. I mean, you know, it is a seedy place. You know, the Hollywood modeling industry. That's why I bring up the modeling thing because, you know, the Jeffrey Epstein aspect. I mean, some of the young girls said that they were told by Ghislaine or by people that they could, or even Jeffrey Epstein, that he could help them with their modeling career because, you know, he had connections to Jean-Luc Brunel, and he also had connections to Victoria's Secret. So it's not, you know, it's such bullshit that happens and these scummy promises. And you say, well, how do you get caught up in that? Well, you get caught up because, you know, like look at Star 80, you know, the whole, that, you know, how she got, killed and murdered and, you know, discovered at a Dairy Queen and everything else. And Eric Roberts is a great part he played in that movie, actually. But, you know, it's like, oh, it's Playboy. It's just Playboy. It's, you know, it's glamorous, and you can be a Playboy. You can be a Playboy bunny, and, you know, it's like being a Varga girl. It's like the step up. You know, it's the new. It was like the new Varga girl, the new pinup girl. Well, now the new pinup girl, you know, is like Marilyn Monroe. And, you know, Marilyn Monroe was. I should get going here pretty soon because it's 2:22. I've done an hour. I'm trying not to do my shows, the live streams, too long. Marilyn Monroe, you know, was on the first cover of Playboy magazine. I believe she was on the first cover. You know, she did early in her career. She posed for Playboy. I have a brief interaction. I was around Hugh Heffner one time at the Queen Mary in Long Beach, and I was doing a comedy competition on the same night as the Marilyn Monroe exhibit opening, and they had Hefner had done a 50-year anniversary of putting Marilyn Monroe on the cover again that month. And then they went into her, you know, the conspiracy of her murder. Hugh Heffner got up on the stage and said that he believed that she did not kill herself, or that she did not OD. She didn't kill herself, but she did not OD, that she was in fact, you know, they should reinvestigate how she died. And there were claims that she was really happy that night and you know, all this kind of stuff. So there was one moment where we were waiting to go on the elevator, and I think like some of my family was there too, because we were moving around. And as the elevator door opened, Hugh Heffner came out, wearing one of his little, robes or whatever, like house robes, and pants. And then he had like his entourage of women that were living with him at that time on the reality show. And he was like literally like right by him, like really, really super close. I've had like a weird little brush, with the Hefner thing. And when I competed that night, I actually won. So, or placed. Did I win that night? I think I won that night. I didn't win the whole entire competition, but I won that night. So anyway, I heard that Playboy bought her pictures without her consent, but I could be wrong. Are you talking about Brooke Shields? I don't think so. I think if you're referring to Brooke Shields, I'm pretty sure that she was booked for that particular layout for that magazine. Or, I don't think they were steals for the movie, but they were to go along as press for the movie. They were in conjunction to the publicity for the film. He keeps asking for money. He talks like, oh, okay, you're talking about Corey Feldman. Monroe. Oh, I don't know. I'd have to look that up. I'd have to look it up if she actually posed or they sold. But she was like definitely featured on it. Hopefully she got money out of it. It wasn't just like the photographer selling the photos to him, because that sucks. Problem is that when a photographer takes your pictures, they own the photograph. Even if, you hired him to do it for you and you have some sort of mutual agreement, like, oh, this is a favor. If they're a professional photographer, they still own the photograph. So that is a fact, unless you have some sort of like written contract or release. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about is this entertainment industry, the adult film industry. Now, I guess I should admit it. Many of you guys probably maybe already know this, but I did actually write a few scripts for some movies. And one of them was a Hustler, was distributed by Hustler. Because, when they do adult film, and I'm not saying it was a good thing or a bad thing, right? I wouldn't do it again. It's not something that I'm like, I just did a resume recently. I didn't put it on my resume. Although, our movie was AVN Award nominated, and the script that I did write, that particular movie, I collaborated on the script, but I actually wrote it and put the dialogue down and everything and made the scenes happen. But I did not write without conversing with other people and doing a plot line with it. But that particular film was used. It's part of a university. I have to look up exactly what I did another show about this before because I found it, where it's used. It's archived as a review of human sexuality at that particular time. Some of the films that, and again, and I've said this before, Santa Barbara University at film. I know my brother got a degree there in filmmaking. They teach adult film classes because it is considered an art form. It is a form of film and not necessarily, pornography. And a lot of these people, were stars at their time in their particular genre. And I kind of want to just show a little bit of this and kind of capture that particular era just as a documentation of everything. And it does intersect with Playboy and the shift along with the Kinsey Report, and that's a whole nother conversation, right? About human sexuality and everything like that. But along with that, and along with Hugh Heffner, we also had, the mainstream acceptance for a while of adult films like the Behind the Green Door and The Devil Mrs. Jones and Deep Throat. Deep Throat actually went all the way to the Supreme Court for obscenity laws, and they won there, as not being obscene. And our obscenity laws are interesting because they're basically based on the if it's vulgar or violent or whatever, but it has to do with where we're at collectively as a culture and are willing to view as pornography or not pornography. It's kind of like it shifts. It's kind of like a theory, right? With new information, it might be different. All right. So I'm going to share the screen. Let me find the tab here. Actually, I don't want that one. Let me.
You're on Santa Monica Boulevard in lovely West Hollywood.
Oh, darn it. Hold on. I know exactly where this is at because I used to kind of live within walking distance of this neighborhood. So here we go. And this channel, I'm definitely going to put it in to the link there. So, Dearly Departed Tours and with Scott Michaels. I subscribe to it. I kind of like some of his coverage on Hollywood, and then some of the people that had weird deaths in Hollywood and stuff like that, darn it. It's gonna try to go ahead. All right. Just make sure I did that right. I know I bug people when I do this. I know I bug you guys when I do this. Okay, hold on. Okay, here we go.
Monica Boulevard in lovely West Hollywood. And it's a beautiful Saturday morning. And the pleasure chest is in it's in the area of West Hollywood that was pretty well known for adult entertainment, we'll say.
Pleasure chest.
So yeah,
all right.
This is where you get porn magazines and sex toys and lingerie, and it used to be a lot more sleazy than these days. Now it's all very socially acceptable. But across the street used to be the Institute of Oral Love on the corner. And the Pussycat Theater were a chain of theaters that showed porn back in the 70s mostly, and they were all over the place. And there were several in Los Angeles, and one of them still stands right here. Now, the Pussycat Theater changed hands several times. You could see kind of sort of the sign up at the top. You'll see it up close in a minute. But that's the old Pussycat sign. It said a few things since then. I think it said Tomcat at one point. Now it's called Studs. It's gay films now. But I'm going to take you a walk over there because that's a very special kind of porn theater. Very special. Located at 7734 Santa Monica Boulevard, West Hollywood, the Monica Theater originally opened its doors in 1940 with the Betty Davis film, The Old Maid. For decades, it enjoyed its classic program of first-run motion pictures. With the neighborhood changing to keep up with the Devil and Miss Joneses, it began showing adult films in the 60s, art films.
Nudies!
After a brief stint in 1968 as the Left Bank Theater, in 1970, age Flash Gordon.
Look, I mean, freedom, your sexuality, your freedom of sexuality, like that's kind of a theme, you know, that goes along with Hugh Heffner, right? It's like, well, I'm free to be the Bachelor. It's normal to want multiple women. It's normal to be a Playboy. Thought.
Throat and insatiable. Taking a nod from Sid Grauman and his famous footprint ceremonies at the nearby Grauman's Chinese Theater, the Pussycat began hosting red carpet premieres for the films, welcoming the stars to immortalize themselves by leaving their footprints and handprints in the concrete below the marquee.
See, there's John Holmes. Big hands, big feet. He's the one who was part of the Wonderland murders. All right, so apparently that's kind of it. I mean, I'm just gonna stop it like there. Really, I just wanted to sort of cap that a little bit, like an era gone by kind of thing, and so just the whole. That whole area. And now they did talk about in the beginning of the video, he talked about the pleasure chest. And I used to have a joke. I had a joke about the pleasure chest. I go, yeah, I went to the pleasure chest for the first time. You know, they sell, it's on Santa Monica Boulevard and they sell sex toys there and everything. And I went in there and I was shocked because there were people in there buying stuff that I could get for half the price at Ace Hardware. And that was my joke. All right. That was my joke. Hey, you know, the pleasure chest joke that I had. Okay. I'm going to say goodnight. You know, again, you know, if you like my channel, please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe at the link below. Make sure you put on the little notification bell to see when I'm going to be live streaming again. Check me out on Spotify. Just put in Not My Rabbit Hole with Terry Joyce. You'll find me there. Follow me on that channel there as well. I upload a lot of the stuff here. Again, my Patreon, I don't have my link here, but I'll make sure I link it on there. Please become a Patreon supporter. If you'd like to donate to the Terry Joyce College Fund, where I'm studying journalism, media, and film, you can do that at my PayPal at Hollywood Hemptress, HEMPTRESS @gmail.com, and or on my Venmo, which what is my Venmo? I think it's Terry/Joyce. I can show it again. All right. It was the photographer he bought the photos from. He told the story interviews. Marilyn signed a release, although under another name with that photographer. Oh, thank you, Rainbow Crypt Keeper, for the information. I didn't have to look it up. All right, you guys. I'm gonna do. I said my next video was gonna be about James Casbolt. Today was just kind of an impromptu, like a last minute thought. I go, you know what? I want to do some. I want to talk about Hugh Heffner, and then I thought I'd throw in the James Rink thing to look at. But I'm going to go over James Casbolt Part 2 coming up, hopefully by this weekend sometime or before the weekend. All right. Until then, take care, everybody, and I will see you next time. I guess, for some reason, I've been into stopping the show by playing the. Let's see. By playing the Matrix song. Let me see. Wait, let me get that right. That's not too bad. I didn't go too long. Well, I went like an hour and 15 minutes, or out like a little over an hour. That's not as bad.